Okay, here we are getting ready to multiply fractions and whole numbers. Okay, so for instance, we might have 1/2 times 3. And you need to understand that multiplying whole numbers and fractions, when you multiply, multiplication is addition over and over again, repeated addition. So this is the same thing as 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2. We have 1, 2, 3 times we're adding 1/2. 1/2 times 3 is 1/2 3 times. And that ends up being 3/2, which is the same thing as 1 and 1/2. Okay, it's a mixed number, 3/2. Okay, if we were to do it the other way around so that it was 3 times 1/2, we might start with 3 and we'd take half of them. Half of it, half of 3. So that if we were drawing cookies and we take half of each cookie, we put those halves together, we end up with 3 halves that look like this, sort of. And if you flip them around, it makes one whole cookie, which is 2 halves plus another half, and that's 1.5. That's what we did before. This is sort of a picture of it. Okay? That's sort of the best way to think about it. Another thing to do, let's just delete this. Say we do like 3/4 times 7. This isn't as easy to draw pictures of, so we need to just start doing the math. 3/4 times 7 is the same thing as 3/4 times 7 ones. A lot of times we'll just write it 3 times 7 over 4. 3/4 times 7, it's just the top number, the numerator, multiplied by the numerator, over the bottom number, the denominator, multiplied it by the denominator. So it's 3 times 7 over 4, which is equal to 21 over 4. And 21 over 4 can be simplified. You have to kind of think, well, how many times does 4 go into 21? 5 whole times. If I had 21 slices of pizza and it took 4 per box, I'd have 5 whole boxes. 5 times 4 is 20, and I'd have 1 leftover slice. 5 1/4. That's kind of how that works. So this is how you start. You start with writing the problem down, and you could rewrite it, put it together, multiply, and simplify, and you get it done. Occasionally you can simplify before you multiply. Let's see if we have 3/4 times 12. 3/4 times 12 gets put together as 3 times 12 over 4. Okay, but you can simplify when you have everything multiplied together. You can simplify the 12 and the 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times. So if you divide 12 by 4, you're left with 3, and if you divide 4 by 4, you're left with 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So 12/4 is the same as 3 ones. And then when you multiply, 3 times 3 is 9. It's not 3. 3 times 3 is 9 over 1, which is the same as just 9. Okay, does that make sense? Alright, cool. That's really what we're doing over and over again. Let me pause this real quick and go look at the assignment to see if there's something else. Okay, so let's just do a couple more. 3/4 times 20. This is 3 times 20 all over 4. This can be, if you're doing a story problem, let's stop for a second. Story problems, 3/4 times 20 is basically 3/4 of 20. And you can almost in your head figure that out. If we said, what's half of 20? What's half of? Of really means times. So this goes together. Half of 20, is 10. 3/4 of 20 would be more than 10, but still less than 20. And you're right, a 3/4 of 20, if you had to guess, what would it say? 100%, all of 20, 1 of 20 would be 20. Half of 20 would be 10. So 3/4 of 20 actually ends up being right in between 10 and 20, which is 15. But I'll show you how that works right now as we're doing the math. 3 times 20 over 4. Now, there's something that I always say that's important. I teach the kids. Simplify, and it rhymes nicely, before you multiply. Okay, if you multiply this out, you're going to get 60/4. Okay? But I'm asking you to simplify before you multiply. So instead of getting 60/4, I'd like you to look at it, and you can think on the top here, you can say, well, 20/4 could simplify to 10 halves. And that's okay. But you can do even better than that. We're going to say, well, what can I divide both of these by? Well, I can divide them both by 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Simplify before you multiply. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, that's the best I can do. But then I go right to the answer. 3 times 5 is 15 over 1, which is 15. And we guessed down here that it was going to be 15, and it looks like we were right. 27 times 3/5. This is complicated because this can't be simplified before you multiply. This just turns into 27 times 3 over 5, and it's probably harder than what you have to do in your math for this lesson, but let's look at it. Not 3. It's not going to let me erase it. Let's see, try again. There we go. 27 times 3. 3 times 7 is 21. 6, 7, 8, 81. I should have known that. That's the same thing as 3 to the 4th power. Alright, so it's 81 over 5. So 81 over 5. Well, how many times does 8 go into 10? Twice and twice, so that's times 2. And how many times does 10 go into 80? Times 8. Well, 2 times 8 is 16. That's kind of a cool thing. 2 times 8 is 16, so 5 times 8 is 40, times 2 is 80, or 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 times 8 is 80. 5 times 16 is 80. So we're going to actually have 16 wholes with 1, because there's 81, 1 more than 80, 1/5 left over. Okay, that's a pretty good way to do that. This is just a way to help me do mental math on paper. Okay, good. 16 and 1/5. Let's do one more and then we'll quit. 1/3 times 15 halves. Okay. This is getting ahead because this is a fraction times a fraction. This is probably what we're going to do on the next lesson, but I'll go ahead and show you anyway real quick. You can simplify before you multiply. 15/3 is the same as 5 ones, right? 15 divided by 3 is 5. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 2 is 2. So you get 5 halves. 2 goes into 5 twice, with 1 left over. So 2 and 1/2 is your answer. Alright, well, this is kind of just a little extra to chew on. We'll do more of this later. Have fun with your homework.